Have you started budgeting in the past and maybe you quit or you stopped doing it or you forget about it because life gets in the way? In this video, I'm going to be sharing why I think that is as someone that's been budgeting for the last decade plus. And what I've done has also helped me pay off $43,000 of debt myself. But before we get into that, let's talk about how these videos are going to work because I am building my personal finance community, Dollar Discipline University, in public daily with these videos. So how they're going to go is I'm going to go through some YouTube comments first. Think like YouTube Q&A to give you guys immediate value. Then we have a segment where, things that are on my mind of things that I'm seeing with other people in the community and everyone that I talk to about how to reach your financial goals faster. So the reason why you clicked on this video, so you started budgeting, right? But now what do you do? And why maybe isn't it working? And then at the end, we'll go through some community activity. Again, things that are happening in the community that I think would be extremely relevant for you. So let's just go right to the YouTube comments. And we don't have any. So this is the part of the video where I would love to hear from you guys. What challenges are you having in terms of saving money, pay off debt? Maybe you have a good income, but you're struggling with kind of moving forward with your finances. It's like, why do I get stuck every single month? And that's what we're going to talk about. So you started budgeting, but now what? Here's what I see a lot. People start budgeting, and for them, this can mean a few things. This can mean tracking just the bills. And by this, I mean, money that you owe other people's, right? So your mortgage, your rent, a credit card or something like that. But we're forgetting all the other stuff, like, groceries, gas, all this stuff that we also buy. So people track the bills. And let me know which one of these is you, by the way, down in the comments, okay? Just the bills, but it's not 100%. There's this gray area where it's like, oh, I know all my bills. I know when I make payments. I know when everything's due, but we're not tracking everything else. So at the end of the month, it feels like there's nothing left. It's because we're not going all in on it, okay? Number two, what I also see is chunking the budget into larger time frames. What do I mean by this? If you're stuck every month and you look at how often you're budgeting or updating your finances or whatever like the process is for you, maybe you're just doing it like once a month, and like at the end of the month you do kind of a look back and see what happened. But at that point it's too late, right? You can't make any changes at all. Because I went through this process as well, where I was like, great, I'm budgeting, but like, what is it actually occurring from the budget? Like nothing's actually changing. I'm just being more aware of what's happening, but nothing's actually changing because I'm not learning from what I'm seeing. I'm just doing the process to do the process. So I do think that's why. And again, if this is you, let me know. Like this is a safe space, okay? But if that's you, like tracking your money on a very infrequent basis and then wondering why you have no money left over at the end of the month, it's because the month's already over. So what I've seen a lot of success is now there's some people in the community that basically do it daily for a while, which is insane. I don't necessarily recommend that. I don't tell people to do that, but you can definitely take it to the extreme level where it's like every day you just literally go home or you open your phone or whatever, and you just like you enter all the things that you bought that day. Because if you think about it, how long would that take you? How many things are you actually buying every single day? 1 to 3 things maybe a day. So that wouldn't take that long. But what I like to do is especially if you're just starting, let's do weekly. Set up a time, like 30 minutes a week, to just do this. Because I think that's going to help you. Imagine you go through the month here, and you just budget at the last day of the month, and you're like, oh, I updated all my stuff. I'm budgeting. I don't understand what's going on. You're not going to get the results. Okay, so it's more like you're doing it to do it, but you're not doing it to learn. So these are a couple that I've really sort of thought through. There's also the idea of like understanding where money is going, but no future plan. So now this is like, yeah, maybe I am doing this weekly, but there's no like why. There's no like why. Maybe this is better. There's no why, but there's no why. Because what I've found is when I dangle a big enough carrot in front of whatever I'm trying to do, I am just more likely to be motivated to get that thing done. Right? So I think earlier in the process of me doing the personal finance thing, which by the way, it started out just, I went to school for accounting, guys, and I told myself I was great with numbers and finances and all this other stuff, when in reality, the actions I was taking in my life with my own personal finances was not aligned to the person I thought I was. And I had to draw a line in the sand. I had to have a tough conversation with myself, but that's how I ended up starting doing all of this. Because like, well, you say you're this, but you're actually just like, you're full of it. You haven't done you're not doing any of this. So I think the real thing here is like, life is about trade-offs, right? We only have a certain amount of resources. So what's the best way to figure out the old way we used to do things, right? Let's see if I can do this here. And we need to trade that. Let's make this a little longer. We need to trade that with, the new way, how we want to start doing it. So how did we used to spend money? How did we used to spend our time? And then how do we trade some of the inefficiencies over here to do the new way? Because I personally think that everyone has the resources, especially you, if you have you probably have a decent salary maybe, and you just don't know like where to start. You have the resources. We all have 24 hours, okay? We all have that. We all have an income. It all, of course, varies, right? We all have different, expenses. And we all have like important need items. So we, in this day and age, it's great to have a roof over our head. It's great to be able to turn the light on, like this light that's blaring in my face right now. This microphone that wouldn't work if, I didn't pay the electrical bill, right? So everyone has stuff like that. So how do we get to our need items using our income? And then how do we also prioritize our financial goals? And this is the most important thing. I don't think enough people are prioritizing their financial goals. And I think it's an afterthought, to be quite honest with you. So one of my favorite budgeting strategies is called the 50, 30, 20. And what this is you do 50% of your income towards need items, 30% to your want items, and 20%, people call it saving money, but I'd like to do financial goals. This is like the framework that's out in society. A lot of people talk about this, but what I think happens, what I definitely know happens, is we are taking this very literally. And people go, okay, yeah, and again, this is not, you don't have to be exactly, but this is just a great framework. So it's like, oh, okay, great. So I'm at, 52% need. I'm at 30, 35% want, or whatever, 40% want. But man, I can never get to the financial goals fast enough. The problem is that we're focusing on this one first when we really should be switching this. So instead, let's call this the 50, 20, 30. Now imagine how much more productive and how much faster your financial goals would occur if you truly put 20% of your income towards it. Now, if you're sitting there and you've done like zero of your financial goals, or you're struggling or whatever, like you have a good income, you just don't know what's going on. If you instantly pay off the need items, like, okay, what's my need items? How much does it cost me to physically live? Like, how much does it cost me to eat food, have a roof over my head, right? The transportation to and from work, or whatever you do, right? There's things that we physically like need. And then what if we paid ourselves first? What if we did this? Pay yourself first. This is you telling yourself, hey, I prioritize my financial goals. And then what we're telling ourselves is the thing here, the 30%, um, can get cut or reduced. And I hate the idea of thinking that, people out there, maybe some of you, think that the idea of budgeting is about cutting or reducing or restricting. But at the end of the day, since we all have limited resources, some more than others, right? Some less than others. We all have limited resources. But how do we use those resources for the things that we actually want? And I guess I used the wrong word here because this is want. How do we put those things towards our like goals? They could be life goals. They don't have to necessarily be financial goals. But if we keep if we keep making this the last priority, the 20% the last priority, then I don't think we're gonna succeed very well. That wasn't English, but you know what I'm trying to say. Uh, so if you're sitting there, be like, oh man, I'm like barely putting any money. I'm doing, minimum payments just to get by, or I'm barely saving any money. So if you're in like the 0 to 5% range, don't automatically look at it like, wow, I need to quadruple the amount that I'm putting towards my financial goals. Take smaller steps. Take smaller steps. So like, what if we, instead of, everyone wants to do this. We all want to do this with our money, right? That's amazing. But when we don't do this, we just sort of flounder around down here, right? But wouldn't it be greater if we just like, okay, we made to a plateau and then we got to like, all right, we got to figure out like how to do a little more, right? So we do a little more, and then it was just like, okay, we plateau again. Okay, now it's really tough, but okay, now maybe we should learn some new skills. We should try to make ourselves more valuable in the workplace, right? And you go up again. And what happens is, as long as we don't, as our income and our resources increase, as long as we don't increase our expenses as well, like as long as we don't increase this or even this, right? Because if you make more money and then you buy, a house that's twice as expensive, or a rent that's twice as expensive, then um, you kind of lost out on the opportunity with your, increased of resources. And that's me saying, if where you live or what you live in isn't important to you, then you shouldn't be upgrading. But if that's one of your like things, if that's one of your North Star goals, as I like to call them, then fair enough. Like you wanna live in a nice, a nice home or whatever. Maybe you have a family, because I get that. I have 2 kids. Like you want to provide for your family. So if that's important to you, then that's amazing. But just realize that that's a trade that you're making to hit other goals, right? So it's just like, how do we prioritize what we want? So the idea I really like is the North Star goals. And it's a list of, I don't know, it could be even one thing, but 1, 2, 5, 10 things on your list. It doesn't really matter. They could be life goals for today, life goals for 10 years from now, financial goals for today or 10 years from now, or non-negotiables. So really it's like make a list of those things. And then what that's going to do is anything not on that list, you're telling yourself, you're giving yourself permission to not have to continue moving that back. Because it's like, well, if I want, things 1 through 10, thing number 16 on the list, like, why would I prioritize that? It's over thing number 8 or whatever, right? You see what I'm saying? So if like, people spend a lot of money in dining out, restaurants, food delivery, but I can guarantee you that the convenience of someone else making you food is probably not going to be on your like top 10 things that are most important to you, right? So you just have to look at it that way. And it's all about making trades. And this isn't me telling you what to do. It's telling you sort of how to think about it, because every one of these lists, everyone's list here, I would love to kind of hear from you guys. Oh, I didn't mean to change the color. I would love to hear from you guys, like, what is on your North Star goal list? All right, I don't know what's happening here. What's on your North Star goal list? That's all I was trying to do the whole time, just circle it. So let me know down in the comments, what are your North Star goals? Give me just like 2 or 3. You don't have to give me 10 or whatever. What are 2 things for you? So for me, so I mentioned I'm married. I have 2 kids. So obviously, this is a tough one for me because in terms of ordering it, right? Because obviously I care about my family so much. But imagine, so my health is my number one thing, just to be abundantly clear with that. And my thing is, like, imagine if I was unhealthy, how frequently my family would think about like me, and like be worried about me. So I see this as like, hey, I need to put on, like, in the airplane example with like the gas mask come down if there's an emergency. They always say like, hey, you got to put yours on first, and then do the people around you, your loved ones. You have to take care of yourself first. I think about that in life and finances too. It's like, if I don't take care of myself, then my family's just going to worry about me the whole time. So I need to take care of myself first, so that way I'm in the best position possible to take care of my wife and my two kids. So for me, it's like my health, and what that means is like exercising and trying to eat decently well or whatever. But then right after that, I have a list of things for my family. Like, we want to keep our kids active. We want to like try to teach them our the values that we kind of want them to have, and that's all about parenting, right? But then other things down the list, like financial stuff, is like my wife and I just want to get rid of our mortgage a lot faster than when we're supposed to be paying it off. We want to save money for a pending roof repair that's going to be very expensive, right? So we're working through that too. And it's like, how are we going to find all these resources so we continually go through this process of like, what's most important? What can we just trade? I don't want to think about it as like a restriction, like, oh, now I can't do this anymore. It's like, no, I'm giving up this so that I can have the opportunity to do XYZ down the road, which I am saying is way more important than this thing that I'm trying to buy right now, right? So if I could, it's silly, but if I had traded, we stopped. We used to do like once a week, like a food delivery thing on Friday nights, just because it was easy, right? We at the end of the week, we both have 9 to 5 jobs, and it's just convenient. But then we looked at it, it's like, well, we're spending whatever it was, call it $50 a week, so $200 a month on this stuff, and it's like, well, $200 a month is $2,400 a year, and that could just go towards something that we deem way more important, right? Because if we pay off our mortgage a lot faster, we could literally save hundreds of thousands of dollars of interest if we can if we can pay it off a lot faster. That seems pretty valuable to me. And then with that money, we'd be able to buy whatever we want in terms of food delivery. We could do it twice a week, right? Wow, it's just like so we're trading stuff for today to get stuff that we know is more important down the line. That's all I'm kind of sharing with you, and I hope that kind of resonates. So I think we've kind of tackled these three. Let's go through some community activity, because I'm helping people that are on the path of their financial journey. They've got a little momentum going, or they've started stuff, but they're really kind of you're struggling to keep it moving forward. But if you're trying to save more money, you're trying to pay off debt, you're trying to just become more confident with your money. Maybe you have a good income, but you just don't know the next steps. I got you. Okay. So in this community, I'm doing a 2-day, it's sort of a group challenge, helping just kind of what I've been talking about. So I'm going to help you find where your money's been going, how to realign it to the things that matter the most, which is what we've been mostly talking about in this video, and then how to keep that momentum month after month. I realize it's pretty small. So this is my 3-step framework. Action, that's this. Sorry, awareness, action, accountability. All 3 of these are critical to be able to take the next step in your personal finances. So if you've started and you're like, okay, I'm doing the thing, but I'm not seeing any progress, I would recommend doing this. It's the fastest way that I personally know how to find hidden cash flow in your finances. All these people, there's some wins in here that I share of people that have done this. So yeah, how it's gonna work, just to be clear, guys, is like every week I have day 1, so I'm doing one tomorrow. I have another day 1 here, and then I'm gonna start adding some times to October. But basically, I'm gonna be doing this every week for a pretty long time, because I do think this is the fastest way for someone to find hidden cash flow in their finances. So I think that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I'm doing them daily. So again, get your comments in. The sort of call to action for you on this video is, what are your North Star goals? Let's share a couple of them down in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow.